Hey guys, this is me, Michael. Thanks again for watching. This is actually one of my all-time favorite games on Sega Genesis. I know I review a lot of Castlevania series games, but that's basically because the Castlevania series, for the most part, is one of my all-time favorite game series ever. There are a few duds. I've probably discussed a lot of them. Some are mediocre and some are just bad. There's not a lot that are just bad, but there's some. But most people say the best 16-bit Castlevania is Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES, and I don't know, like, I think this one might be slightly better. I kind of like them both at the same level, but maybe this is because this is the first one I played before Castlevania 4. I really like this game. And another thing, if you're from Europe, this was called Castlevania, I believe it's called Castlevania Next Generation. And it was heavily edited because, I guess, Germany, game standards are a lot more strict. So a lot of the blood and stuff like that was taken out. This was one of the first Castlevanias that actually came out in the US that actually had blood. Because the Sega Genesis, like, was the system to get if you wanted to see blood, because the Nintendo restriction codes and stuff like that, like for censorship, was a lot stronger. I'm sorry if I'm kind of coming off weird. Like this is right after I had my surgery. I referenced in other videos. This will sound super weird if you guys are watching these out of order, but I'm kind of out of it because I'm a little bit sedated right now, but I'll do the best I can. I'm trying to keep busy because I've been in bed, but as you can see, this game's a lot more violent than previous Castlevanias. It wasn't until, I guess, Mortal Kombat 2 came out on the Super Nintendo where Nintendo was a lot more lenient when it came to violence. I don't know, I just like this game. It's a little bit more quirky. The emulation on this game's a little bit off. Like, I could record my Sega Genesis off of the TV, but I figured for the most part this would look a lot better. I actually got this game, I played it when it first came out, and then Majesco, like, I guess bought like the licenses that make Sega Genesis stuff, and they were like, they came out with like a super cheap Game Gear and then the Genesis Model 3 and stuff like that. And they came out with re-releases of games, and this is one of them. I think they're around $10 each. And it was like a made in Mexico cartridge. It came in like the cheapest cardboard packaging with the black and white instruction manual. When the game first came out, it was like originally in a plastic case. And the inside of the instruction manual was black and white, but the cover was actually in color. But this was like straight up, it looked like somebody Xeroxed it. Everything was legit. They were just finding out more affordable ways to republish this stuff, which was good for me because I was a kid. What did I cut lawns for about $10 a piece, so I didn't have a lot of money on me. But I love this game. It doesn't look as good as I'd say the Super Nintendo version of Castlevania 4, but it definitely has its charms, and it's one of the best sounding and looking Sega Genesis games that I've seen and played. This part always disturbed me, like the half of the wolf was rotten here. You have to actually hit this rotten half corpse. And as you can see, the first part of the game looks like Castlevania 1. It kind of switched up at this point. But I guess you're just re-going to the ruins of Dracula's castle. Again, this is one of the first games that actually didn't really feature Dracula. He's at the end, because I guess he gets resurrected last minute. But the main bad guy in this game is actually a girl, like Elizabeth Berkley, was actually based on a real serial killer that actually bathed in blood of her victims. I don't think her name's Elizabeth Berkley in real life. I can't remember what it was. It sounds similar, but you know, they're not going to have the exact names when it comes to these kind of games. I also think this game has one of the best soundtracks. Most Genesis games, they have like this weird arcade stock music that I guess that's already programmed in it, including sound effects and everything. And Konami just knows how to program for, I guess, most systems, because the soundtrack's very unique and the sound effects aren't like that cliched Sega Genesis stock sound. I don't even know what you'd call it, but a lot of games use the same sound effects. Like if you ever play the Sonic Collection on a PlayStation 3 or 360, most of those games have that stock sound. The only games that are on there I don't really think use it are like the Streets of Rage games and the Sonic the Hedgehog games. They don't really use it, but most of the other games, Sega Genesis, use that stock sound, which I can't stand. So me saying that this soundtrack's one of the best in Castlevania, and this happens to be on the Sega Genesis, is actually saying an awful lot coming from me. This is one of those Castlevania parts that make you nervous. Random side note, usually when you're going up to this part of the castle in any Castlevania game, it's actually usually go to the left. If you were curious, you can write that trivia down and impress your friends later. Now that little ball power up, I don't know why they added that. It's absolutely useless. It comes in handy sometimes, but it's nothing like that. Also, this is one of the few Castlevania games where this actually has a boomerang. Usually it's a crucifix. And I don't know why they decided to make it a boomerang, because Sega Genesis really didn't edit their, well, say Sega Genesis, Sega really didn't edit their games or censor them. Again, it's using that crazy sprite effect where I guess it rotates and stuff like that, and scaling. I don't know what you'd call that, because it's not technically like the rotation of like Mode 7 or whatnot, but they use that effect a lot in the Game Boy Advance Castlevania games, at least the last two. The first one, Circle of the Moon, didn't really use any kind of special effects. I know that game got high ratings, but now if I look back, like I didn't care for that one too much. It was super hard, and there's nothing that really stuck out about it that made it unique in the series. Although at this point, there's not a lot of uniqueness about this series. Everything just copies each other. I'm curious if they come out the 3DS version, what it'd be like. And I've already placed my opinions about the PS3 and 360 version, so I'm curious what the sequel's gonna be like. Because it did leave off on a kind of crazy ending. I do like this one where you go around the world. I wish they did this more. Portrait of Ruin kind of did it a little bit. It looked like they were trying to let you travel a little bit more in the last two DS games, because I do like the Symphony of the Night formula, but I don't like being confined to one space, and I think that's what makes this game good. And as you can see, this game has a cool reflection effect. They actually had that effect too, I believe, in the Rocket Knight or Sparkster, one of them. There's also a cool remake of that on the PlayStation Network. I think it's on Xbox Live too, but I'm not 100% sure. It's one of those classic Castlevania instant death scenes again. It's only in level 2. By the way, the difficulty level in this game is kind of unique, as in, that it's unique. Sorry, I'm kind of out of it. It's unique in that if you pick easy, you're not going to see all the bosses or the whole level, so the game modifies itself, which is kind of cool, so you don't always see the same thing if you play in different difficulties. But I do have to say, like, between easy and medium, there's a huge difference in the difficulty. I would not attempt to play this game on hard. Like, this game's a lot more lenient though than the NES version. You can get further. I'm a little bit rusty on this because I haven't played it in a while. Plus, Logitech controller is definitely not a Sega Genesis pad. But like I said, I figured this to be more clear, and then playing it, and me recording it with that awful camera off of the TV. Excuse me, sorry for pausing. The 16-bit Castlevanias also seem to have mid-bosses, which was a fairly new concept in the series. 4 and Bloodlines had it. And then there was Rondo of Blood, which was excellent on the PC engine, but it didn't come out here. And then the Super Nintendo came out with their own modified version of it, which wasn't bad, but it was ridiculously and cheaply hard. They did a lot of the artwork, which wasn't as good, and took the branching levels out for the most part. Luckily, they released a version on the PSP that was really good. It was like a 3D version, and it had Symphony of the Night, and it also had Symphony of the Night and then the original version of Rondo of Blood on the PC engine, and then like the 2.5 3D version was super cool. I wish they actually put it on a system that more people had. Like, I would love to have had it as a downloadable arcade title, or like even the PS2, like a quick port like they did with the Grand Theft Auto games, which I didn't mind. The graphics weren't as good, but as of right now, you have to have the PSP to play it, which I have the PSP, but I would like to play it on the television. On a system that's on, I know they have the television hookup for the PSP, but like, I just rather have it like as an arcade title, maybe put trophies. I think that'd be super cool. Always wish they did like an anniversary collection like they did with Mega Man, but so far they haven't done that. I have no idea what these guys are. They look like Juggernaut's kids or something. I love those little statue heads that fall now. I like the little barrel sound they make. It's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm a little bit rusty. Like, I usually could get through this area no problems. I've looked and I only have like 1 life left after this. It's nuts. I'm sure if I played a few more times and got used to the controller, I probably could do better. Another unique thing about this Castlevania, instead of getting hearts, is you get jewels. I don't know why they figured to change it, because I don't know, like, hearts always been a staple. You can see I'm an awesome player. Don't worry folks, the video's not over. I'm determined. Gotta get the little Juggernaut kids. That should have been a cartoon that came on after the Flintstone kids, the Juggernaut kids. Does anybody even remember the Flintstone kids? The Flintstone kids, and then later on they had a pup named Scooby-Doo. I liked all those shows. They're nuts. I miss when the Cartoon Network first came out. They had like a lot of these. They used to show like a lot of the old cartoons, and now they show all this weird crap that I don't even know what it is. Like, they had like a CG Garfield. It's crazy. Yeah. I was in the hospital when I was watching it because I don't normally get Cartoon Network. Unfortunately, I have to watch all my Adult Swim online. I was like, man, I miss the days where they showed all the shows I used to watch as a kid. And they had like, what is it, Codename Kids Next Door? This cartoon's awful. I never knew what that was supposed to be. It looks like pixie dust coming out, but I guess it's supposed to be water sprinkling off. As good as this game is, they didn't really think out the graphics on that part. It's like D-Day above me here. Apparently those uniform guys have gills, because the water did not seem to affect them. And apparently they're a little bit confused because they're running into walls. I've seen a man do this once. Unfortunately, he was in a padded room. I do like that little ship in the background. I think that adds a nice touch. Like, that's what I was talking about in other videos when I play Castlevania games. I just think the 8-bit and 16-bit backgrounds just, I don't know, they're just more interesting to look at, and it's not like the newer systems can't do that. It's not like a graphical limitation. Also, the bosses are a lot cooler. I love this boss. I like his little hands and little character movements. And the music's amazing too. I just like these bosses. There's just stuff that I just don't think it's carried over in the more contemporary Castlevania games that I hope they bring back. This is also, time-wise, one of the, I guess, how would I word it? This Castlevania takes place a lot later than earlier ones. I mean, it's not like Area of Sorrow where it's in the future or anything like that. Although I think that was 1999 or something. No, it takes place in the future. 1999 is like the Castlevania game we never saw that actually shows how Dracula was destroyed, but it never came out. Now they're doing the storyline. I don't know if they'll ever cover it. Although at the ending of the one on PS3, it did show like in the future, not in the future, but like I guess modern times where I guess Gabriel, who you're playing as, he woke up and he's Dracula. It's so weird. I don't know what they're trying to go for that. That's why I'm curious about the sequel. But he woke up and he was like in modern times, so I'm wondering what they're gonna do with that. Here you'll get a short, brief preview of Italy before I die. Fortunately, I don't get to show you like the cool Leaning Tower of Pisa effect, but it's on YouTube. You can look it up. Like, everything's covered. Like, the whole reason I make these videos for my commentary, damn it. Because I am by no means like the best game player in the world. So I don't do a lot of gameplay, like a whole walkthrough of the whole game. Although I'm really considering Snatcher, so keep an eye on, look at those videos, keep up with them because they're super sweet. That's one of my all-time favorite games on any system, and I definitely want to show you. The first video doesn't have gameplay in it because it just shows you the story, but the next video, hopefully I'll have posted within the next day or so. Definitely will have gameplay in it. I give you a glimpse of what that's like. It's super cool. Like, I hope you guys enjoy that because I'm pretty excited about making them, and I get to play the game over again, which is really cool. You eventually get outside of the Leaning Tower of Pisa and it's swaying back and forth and it looks really cool. But that's the end of this Castlevania Bloodlines video. If you want to see more, comment, let me know, put comments. Thanks for subscribing. To those of you subscribed, if you like any of these videos, please subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.